And we're live, everybody. Welcome in. It is Monday, January 8th, 2 p.m. Central. Thank you so much. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. A lot to talk about, specifically around Tesla and the EV market and the broader auto market as well. Let's waste no time. Let's go ahead and get started right away. Now, there's some new numbers that have come out of the auto market that are very, very fascinating. I pulled up this chart here. This was provided by Car Dealership Guy on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Guy Dealership. Make sure you go follow him. This is a list of all the sales from basically every single automaker in the United States. This is from Cox Automotive, which is really the premier source for car data. And the thing that I really want to highlight here, which Tesla has achieved in 2023, is that now Tesla, having sold about 650,000 cars in the full year of 2023, now has a larger market share and is selling more cars in the United States per year than brands like Volkswagen, Subaru, and BMW. The total market share for Tesla is now up from 3.8% up to 4.2%, which means that they've grown their market share by roughly 15 to 20%. Now, this is quite of a, I don't know if this is well known at all. This is something that's going super under the radar. I don't see it being reported in mainstream media at all. But again, Tesla is now selling more cars in the United States as of the end of 2023 than Volkswagen, Subaru, BMW, Mazda, and others. And it's only about a couple 100,000 behind the likes of Nissan and about halfway there from Honda. Now, this is actually a very interesting piece of news, because if you think about what Tesla is as a car company, like them or not, Tesla only sells electric vehicles. In the United States, Tesla hasn't really sold, hasn't really marketed, hasn't really advertised. And it's one of those things where now Tesla is in a position where they can enter 2024 with a pretty big lead. Again, for those that are joining me right now, Tesla, as of the end of 2023, 650,000 cars sold in the full year, and Volkswagen sold about 630,000, which is less than Tesla. So now it's official. Tesla is selling more cars in the United States than Volkswagen. Now, if we think about how they got here, here's a link from or a post from Troy Tesla. Troy is a pretty big account on X, formerly known as Twitter. Model Y is expected to be the world's best-selling car this year. So this was back in December 24th of 2023. So for 2023, with over 1.2 million sales. Unfortunately, this is underreported in the media because Tesla doesn't release Model Y sales numbers. But based on the numbers that Troy has compiled, and we'll get some official numbers from Tesla probably in the next couple of weeks or so, Model Y will outsell or has outsold the Toyota Corolla by about 200,000 units in 2023. Now, again, this is nuts. This is freaking crazy. You have an electric vehicle maker. All they sell is electric vehicles. Their best-selling car with the Tesla Model Y, specifically just an electric car, and they're selling more cars than the Toyota Corolla globally. And as a total EV business, they're selling more cars in the United States than the entirety of Volkswagen. Now, the analogy I like to use here is, walk around the street, talk to anybody you know, any family member, any person you know, and ask them, hey, do you know about what a Volkswagen is? Have you ever heard of VW? I'm willing to bet 99% of people, unless they live under a rock, they're going to be like, yeah, I know what Volkswagen is. I've heard of a Volkswagen. But you don't really get the same sort of reaction from Tesla. You'll probably get people that say, oh, yeah, I've heard of Tesla. It's, owned by that guy, Elon. He says crazy stuff on Twitter or whatever, or X. But what percentage of those people have actually experienced an electric vehicle? What percentage of those people have actually been in a Tesla, have experienced, let's say, the driving dynamics of an electric car? And I think, again, I can't get over this freaking number. It's so wild. And by the way, Sawyer Merritt is the person that sort of highlighted for me for this on X. Tesla is now selling more cars in the United States than Volkswagen with no advertising or marketing. Crazy. Now, if we think about going forward into 2024, I actually think this trend will continue. This isn't sort of like this one-off thing. I do believe that this is going to be something that's going to continue well into the future. If you look at the federal tax credit, the EV federal tax credit that is available in the United States for people that are interested in buying an electric car, the EV tax credit up through 2023, you were able to get $7,500 tax credit at the end of the year if you qualify classified based on income and the vehicle that you purchased. Starting in 2024, so as of January 1st of this year, if the car qualifies and if your income qualifies as well, you can now take that discount at point of sale. So when you go buy an electric vehicle from a dealer or Tesla or whoever, that automaker or dealership can now give you that $7,500 credit up front. And this is listed right on the fueleconomy.gov website from the United States government in accordance with new IRS regulation beginning in January 1st, 2024. Clean vehicle tax credits, which is that $7,500 tax credit, must be initiated and approved at the time of sale. So instead of waiting at the end of the year, you get it up front. Now, if we scroll down and look at what cars qualify for this EV tax credit, you have the Chevy Bolt, which these unfortunately are discontinued, not really. I think GM is supposed to bring them back in 2025, but if you can find a brand new Chevy Bolt, it qualifies for the full $7,500 credit. You have a Pacifica hybrid, which I don't know why that qualifies, but great for Chrysler, I guess. You get $7,500 tax credit. With Ford, you get a $3,700 tax credit on the Escape plug-in hybrid and the full tax credit on F-150 Lightning extended and standard battery range. Now, for these vehicles, I do want to make sure you know that there is an MSRP limit. So you can only get this tax credit as long as you don't go above that MSRP limit for each one of these models, just to make it clear. The Grand Cherokee from Jeep 4XC, which is a hybrid. Same thing with the Wrangler 4XC, which is a hybrid. These cars get like 20 miles of range. I don't know why they're getting the credit, but they're getting it. $3,700 tax credit on both. You also have the Lincoln, $3,700 tax credit on that as well. But then you look at really the two big companies that are benefiting from this are the Rivian R1S and R1T. They're getting $3,700 tax credit. And then the Tesla Model 3 Performance, X, long range, and then 3 variations of the Y. They're getting the full EV tax credit of $7,500. So the reason why this is important is if we think about what Tesla has done in 2023 and the fact that they're retaining this tax credit for a lot of their cars, this number, this market share will probably continue to grow into 2024. And I fully expect this to happen. If you're somebody that's in the EV market, this is probably a good time to start looking. You know, I don't want to tell you to buy something or not buy something, but probably not a bad idea to start looking, to start figuring out, okay, this car might make sense for me, this car might not make sense for me. But this will allow Tesla to continue performing really, really well into 2024. Now, if you think about one of their primary competitors, which is the Mustang Mach-E from Ford, which is a fantastic car, it truly is. Unfortunately, cars like these are losing their EV tax credit starting in 2024. So at the beginning of 2023, what was crazy is that this car was able to take advantage of a $7,500 tax credit. And then by the end of the year, they could no longer take advantage of the tax credit starting now. And then Tesla being from not having the tax credit to not having the tax credit. So now you have like a $14,000 swing between the Model Y and a car like the Mustang Mach-E. So what this is probably going to do, and the reason why I bring this up, is that this is probably going to cause the other EV makers to bring their prices down if they're not, especially if they're not getting that EV tax credit. And as Tesla continues to lower prices on their vehicles and they're able to take advantage of the EV tax credit. So this is a prediction. This is just me kind of putting the dots together. I could be wrong here, but I do think EV prices will continue to fall in 2024, which will help affordability for customers, and they're able to actually get into a car that they can afford that's an electric vehicle, especially with the help of the EV tax credit. So we'll see. We'll see which cars are going to benefit. We'll see which cars are going to perform well in this market. There's another thing we're already seeing from Ford. Ford has raised and lower prices for the F-150 Lightning pickups, depending on what trim they are. On the top end, the most expensive models, they lower the price to try and be more competitive, especially as the Cybertruck has launched from Tesla, this triangle on wheels, this sharp looking thing. So this thing now is out on the streets in very limited numbers, but it has a certain sort of it's coming in at a price where if players like Ford don't adjust prices, they're probably going to lose a lot of sales versus something like the Cybertruck. So we're already seeing a dynamic happening where car makers are trying to adjust their prices to be really competitive in the market. And one of the sort of side effects of this, which is interesting, I just want to kind of throw this out there as a clue that something's happening. From investing.com, Saudi Arabia cuts crude prices to all regions amid demand concerns. This is for oil. Now, there's a lot of different factors that are going into this. this as far as, why demand's going down. Maybe we have a global slowdown. But naturally speaking, there was a reply here from Elon Musk. I don't think it's on this one. I think it's actually on the one he quoted before. But, you think about it logically, if you have more electric vehicles on the road and people are not using gas as much, demand for oil will go down over time. Now, oil is still going to be super necessary for a lot of things, rubber, plastics, roads. I mean, there's so many use cases for petroleum. It's crazy. But it is interesting to see that, this might be impacting this just a tiny bit, especially when we're getting to the point, again, crazy, where Tesla's selling more cars than VW in the United States as of the end of the fourth quarter. If this trend continues, it's going to put downward pressure on things like oil and petroleum and things like that, unless we can figure out different ways of using petroleum. So, I just wanted to bring this forward for you. I don't think this is covered at all in mainstream media, legacy media. I don't know why they would, honestly, because it is kind of like, guess what? Legacy automakers are struggling now. There's a new player in town that's going to be selling more cars than they are. In short order here, and there's a transition to electric vehicles. And so if players aren't actually investing in electric vehicles, they might be in a world of trouble. But this really speaks to the time that electric vehicles, I think, are transitioning away from being sort of this niche, quote unquote, rich person's toy back in 2012, 2013, to now being mainstream. Now people are seriously considering these cars for their everyday use. And again, that feat was reached with zero advertising in the United States. So imagine what would happen if, say, a company like Tesla is able to introduce, a compact car, which they're working on. Let's say that thing hopefully starts around $25,000, $30,000, and they start marketing that thing. Now you're going to have a situation where this number isn't just going to be 4.2% of the total market. It's going to be like 5%. It's going to be like 10%, right? And they might be bigger than VW now in the United States, but maybe they could be freaking bigger than Toyota one day. So who knows? But just wanted to bring that forward to you, for you rather. I hope this was helpful and informative. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next one tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.